Hi friends, welcome to GT Coding. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about HTML forms. So an HTML form is basically a way for the web developer or the web admin to collect information from the user. For this, different form elements can be used. For example, input text, checkboxes, radio buttons, all these form elements can be used to collect information from the user. So in this video, I'm just going to show you how you can create most of the common form elements in HTML. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do if you want to create an HTML form is type in the tag form. So form tag is basically used to create forms in HTML. So in form we have two parameters. One is the action. In action we have to give the link of the script which should be run when the form gets submitted, and there is another parameter called method in which we can give two different options, get and post. So we are not going to discuss this in this tutorial. We are just going to design our form. So let's get started. The first thing that we will do is create an input text field. So we'll create a heading called text field or input text. So to create an input text, the tag that we need to use is called input. So when we type input, we have a parameter called type. In type we can specify what type of input we should have on our form. So here I will just keep it to text because we want a text input. Then we have to have another parameter called name, which is used by the web server to identify the field. So here we will type full name, and here we can see that we have our text field. We can type in whatever we want. There's another parameter over here called placeholder. If we type something in placeholder, it will display right in our text box. So that can give the user a hint of what should be in the field. So here we can write full name. So if a user comes here, he comes to know that here he has to write the full name and he can type in his full name. So the next thing that we will do is create a password field. So first of all we will create the heading password field, and in here we will type in input, and in the type parameter we have to type password. So now if we see in this field over here, our characters are not displayed and it has become a password field. So here also we will just enter the name of our field. We'll just name it password. So we will type in placeholder, and in here we will type enter password. So here we can see that enter password is written in our field. The next thing that we will do is create a multi-line input field. So here we have to type text area. So in text area there are two parameters. First of all we will create our heading. Here we will type in text area. So in text area there are two important fields over here. They are the columns and the rows. With columns and rows we can adjust the height and the width of our text area. So we will adjust our columns to match our other fields. So there we go. So the next form element that we will use is checkbox. To create a checkbox, first of all we will write the heading. So to create a checkbox, you have to simply type in input, and in type you have to type checkbox. So here we can see that we have our checkbox. We can also put in something over here, for example Java. So this checkbox is for Java. We will create one more checkbox. So input type checkbox, and for example Python. So we have both these checkboxes over here. We can turn it on or off. So next thing that we'll do is create a radio button. So for that we will again type in, first of all we will type the heading radio button. Now here we will type input and type radio. So here we have our radio button. In radio button we will specify the name to something that we want. For example, in this radio button we will have two operating systems, Android and iOS. So we'll type in OS in our name parameter, and in our value we'll put in Android. This value parameter is used by the server to identify our selection. So here we will type in Android, and so here we have our Android radio button. We'll create one more radio button called input type radio, and we'll name it the same because this is also an OS, and we'll specify its value to iOS. And here we will type iOS. So we have two radio buttons over here. We can select any one of these. So the next thing that we are going to do is create a drop down list. For that, first of all we'll create the heading drop down, and to create a drop down list, the first thing that you have to do is create a container. So we will type in select, and in that we will name the container browsers. We will include browsers in our drop down list. So in the select tag we have to type in all the items that we want. So for that you have to type option, and in option we have to type in a value, for example Safari, and here we can type in Safari. Here we go, we have an item called Safari. We can do the same for the other items in our list, for example Firefox and Chrome. So now if you check here, we have our drop down list. In it we have Safari, Firefox and Chrome. So if you want one of these items to be selected by default, you can type in selected over here, and if you save that, you can see that Firefox is selected by default, and then we can select another item and that gets selected. So this is how we create a drop down list. The next thing that we will do is create a button to upload files. So for that we have to type in input, and in type we will specify the type as file, and in this way we have our button over here. First of all we will create the heading upload button. So input type file and name is equal to photo. So now we have our upload button over here. If we click, we get the option of uploading our files. We can also specify or limit the type of files that the user will upload. For that we have to use the parameter accept, and in accept we can specify which file type the user can upload. So we can, if we type in image GIF, only the GIF image will be shown. If we want the user to be able to select all the image types, then we can simply type image and star. In this way the user can select any type of image. The next thing that we will do is create buttons. So buttons, I'm going to show you how to create 3 different types of buttons. The first button is called the submit button. So we will type in button, and here we can type in type is equal to submit, and we can also give it a name. For example, name is equal to submit button, and in here we can type in what should appear on the button. So now if we see, we have a button called register. So if we click on this button, all the information entered in our fields in this form will be submitted to the server. The next button that we are going to create is called reset button. For that we will set the type to reset, and we will type here clear all values. So if we click on this button, all the values that we enter in our form fields will be cleared. So if we type in our name and our password and all these things, we have selected all these things. Now if you click on this clear all values button or the reset button, all the values that we have selected will be removed. So this button is used for that, for resetting all the values. The next button is just a simple button that we can use to do some other operation that we want. So we don't have to type in any type for this button. We will just specify a name. We will name it just a button, and here we will type just a button. So we have 3 types of buttons over here. So these are basically all the common form elements that are used in creating an HTML form. Now you can use CSS and make this form look the way you want. So in the next video we are going to talk about some of the important aspects in this form. We will also talk about some of the improvements that we can do in this form. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click on the like button. If you want to see such contents, please subscribe and you will get notifications of the latest videos. So thank you for watching.